YB stays on your neck.
He's on my neck.
You can't really take Tyson Fury serious, you know. He's not someone you can take serious, you know. Tyson's what he is, you know. He says one thing, then he does another thing, you know. The facts are the facts. He called it on when the Can Man showed, but he didn't want it. He didn't want it.
Is this a fight you think that's inevitable in the future?
I say I'm the Can Man. Whoever want it can get it. If Tyson Fury want it, he can get it, but he don't want it.
You two know each other well from training in the past. How did those sparring sessions go?
Listen, Tyson's hardcore. It's long, it's rangy. Some days he may outbox you here and there, but I definitely laid him out before. Definitely put him on his bottom before.
You put Tyson Fury down in sparring. You two know each other well from training in the past. How did those sparring sessions go?
Listen, Tyson's hardcore. It's long, it's rangy. Some days he may outbox you here and there, but I definitely laid him out before. Definitely put him on his bottom before.
You put Tyson Fury down in sparring.
I don't like talking about sparring, but seeing as he wants to come out and say, oh, he's put it on me in the gym, this and the other, you know, come on, man. Put what on who? You know, you guys know me, you guys know what I'm like. What's he gonna put on me? I'm not scared of Tyson Fury. You know, I'm not scared of him.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from Dillian Whyte exposing what many have believed to be the case for a while. Listen, Dillian Whyte told you he knocked Tyson Fury out in sparring. You've seen the footage now. The footage is there for everyone to see. We've heard Fury speaking the rare dialect, the unconscious Asgardian dialect. Let me see if I can translate it for you. That's what unconsciousness sounds like. When you're in the African tribes often talk about this. When you're travelling to the other side, you may sometimes get caught in almost like a type of purgatory where you're in between both sides, and that's what Fury's communicating. He's in that middle passage. You heard him there. Dillian Whyte knocked him out. Big right. I think it was a left hook, wasn't it? Larry left hook over the top. Fury flat on his back. I know you Fury fans are going to be mad. You man are going to be hating. Don't blame the messenger. I told you before. If you got an issue, take it up with Fury's leaky ass defense. Dillian Whyte told you. This is the exclusive footage Dillian Whyte's talking about. Dillian Whyte knocked Fury out in sparring. You've heard it from him. You've seen the footage. Don't come at me. Don't complain at the YB. If you don't like it, I didn't record the footage. I told you before, I've got the exclusive sources, the in-house sources, the valuable sources, the verified sources out here. Yeah, don't be mad at me. You Fury fans, you think he's oh yes, oh Tyson Fury, he'll box your head off. Listen, what he'll do is he'll land 10 more jabs and faint. Fury will faint the crowd to sleep. Yeah. He'll chop and change, and he'll faint and he'll judder. He'll judder and move the fans to sleep. That's all he'll do. He couldn't listen. Dillian Whyte told you. Yeah. Can Fury outbox me? In fact, to be fair, Dillian Whyte should have been a bit more honest. He should have been a bit more accurate with his statement there. He shouldn't have said, Fury's outboxed me before. He should have said, Fury's landed 10 more jabs in a session before. That's what irritates me these days. And because of Fury's literally the one who did this, because it's not Floyd. Fury's the one who changed the definition of a boxing lesson, of outboxing someone. Outboxing someone used to be what Floyd did to Canelo. That there's an outboxing. He's hitting him with sticking right hands. He's holding his feet when he needs to. He's getting the job done. Landing eye-catching shots. Doing the cleaner work, the better work. Yeah? Fury, on the other hand, Fury comes along and the only shot he has the only shot he throws is a weak-ass jab. It's not even a stinging jab. It's a little peppery thing. It's a backhand thing. And that's meant to be, there's an outboxing lesson. Are you serious? A boxing lesson is when you're able to, in my opinion anyway, a boxing lesson in my opinion is when you're able to land a plethora of shots. You're able to school them. You're able to hit them with anything you please. Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, my favourite example. Errol Spence could hit him with anything at any time. And Mikey Garcia got shut down. That there is a boxing lesson. And it's important to make the definition between both of them two cases there. There can only be one example of a boxing lesson. You either gave him a boxing lesson, you either boxed his head off, oh yes, I boxed his head off, or you didn't. There's no, oh well, Fury outboxed him and Errol Spence did. No, there's one outboxing. Errol Spence outboxed, Errol Spence boxed Mikey Garcia's head off. Tyson Fury's never boxed anyone's head off. Okay, maybe Derek Chisora the second time, but even then, even if you want to look at Derek Chisora the second time, Derek Chisora was begging for the right hand. Even in that fight, even in the fight which Fury was dominating, the rematch versus Chisora, he still was only throwing a jab. He was never holding his feet and giving Chisora the work. I've spoken to Chisora. I've been to Chisora's camp. He told me he was in that fight and he was begging for Fury to hold his feet and get him out of there. He wanted to go home. He wanted his paycheck. Chisora isn't a quitter. He told me, he said, YB, listen. When I was in there with Fury, I was begging for him to give me the right hand. And he did a few times, but he didn't have nothing on it. Not even regardless of how tired I was, regardless of how many jabs he hit me with, his right hand still weren't enough to put me down. But he just doesn't have it in him. He doesn't have a true boxing performance in him. What he has in him is a flicky jab. I'll give him that. He's got a world-class flicky jab. He's got a world-class zero-power jab. I'll give him credit for that. Anyway, and the reason I go so hard at Fury is because he really is a slimy weasel. Fury is. I don't even understand how he has any fans. What's he done in his career? Seriously, he nip and tucked versus Vlad, and then he ran away for the rematch. Then, when AJ was coming up the ranks, looking to fill him in a mandatory position, which would have happened. Let's get something straight. People will say, oh, Anthony Joshua, he's too stiff. If he was so stiff, why didn't you hold on to your belts and AJ would have had to have gone through you? That fight would have been on. We would have all seen that fight by now already, probably even a few times. Instead, Fury got cold feet, realised AJ was on the up and up and thought, you know what, I can do the maths here. I've got 3 belts. Law of averages says either Klitschko's going to fill me in the rematch, or I beat Klitschko the second time, and guess what? AJ's going to be there waiting to give me a second whooping after the whooping they give me in sparring. It seems to be Fury gets whooped quite a lot in sparring. AJ filled him in. Dillian Whyte filled him in, as we've just seen there. Everyone has a go on him. Yeah? Everyone has a go on Fury because he don't have no power. That's the problem. He don't have nothing to give you anything back with. He don't. That's why why do you think everyone wants a piece of him? Every single person wants a piece of Fury. Queuing up they are. Queuing up. There's queues round the corner. You'd think he was selling crack in the 80s in New York. The way people are queuing up to get a piece of him. Who don't want to fight Fury? Jarrell Miller, Dillian Whyte, AJ, Fury, Ruiz. Everyone wants a piece of Fury. Meanwhile, Fury's fighting Tom Schwartz and ranting and raving about how he's the lineal champion. All right, buddy. Yeah. And I'm sorry to go at. I'm not sorry to go at Fury. Someone needs to do it because no one else wants to do this. Everyone else wants to suck Fury off. Oh yes, he'll box Anthony Joshua. He'll box Deontay Wilder's head off in the rematch. He's got all these people saying Fury's going to beat Wilder. How? How is he going to beat Wilder? Wilder's going to drill the right hand clean through him. And Fury knows he will as well, because my question is to all you Fury fans out there who think he's going to beat Wilder, why didn't he take the rematch immediately? If he's that confident, if he's that sure, why didn't he get straight back in there and go and win his belt? If he was that sure he was going to box Wilder's head off again, allegedly, surely he'd want to get his belt back ASAP, no? Why do you need to fight 3 more stiffs? Why is your trainer saying, oh yeah, we need to get some more rounds in. I'd like Fury to get some more rounds in before we fight Wilder. What do you need rounds for? I thought you boxed his head off. I thought you gave him a boxing lesson. So explain that to me. How can you... It's like... This is the equivalent. Or answer me this. So, you will say Fury gave Wilder a boxing lesson. But yet he wants warm-up fights. He needs warm-up fights. Can you... Let's flip it round. Let's do an analogy. Do you think if Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia were going to have a rematch, do you think Errol Spence would go away and say, you know what, guys, I'm not going to rematch Mikey Garcia. I need some warm-up fights. Do you think that's what he'd say? That's what you lot are saying. You lot are saying someone can give someone a boxing lesson, but then in the meantime need 3 warm-up fights. Do you think Errol Spence would require 3 warm-up fights before getting in there with Mikey Garcia again? Absolutely not. He'd be straight in there again if Mikey Garcia wanted it. That's the bottom line. Anyone who gives someone a true boxing lesson does not need 3 warm-up fights to go in there again. They get straight back in. Yeah? Simple as that. No doubt. Your boy Fury is mentally broken. And that's why he's fighting stiffs like Tom Schwartz, trying to get a little bit of confidence back to dare go in there with Wilder again. He don't even contemplate going in there with Dillian Whyte or AJ. He don't want no parts of them at all, whatsoever. And what we do know is, like Dillian Whyte pointed out, the Dillian Whyte fight was actually, he would have earned more money for the Whyte fight than he would have made for the Wilder fight. And we already know he would have made more from the AJ fight. So what's it about? He's scared. Fury's scared of getting filled in on homeland. That's why he always runs away from home as well. You've got to realise, people allegedly give Fury credit for fighting people away from home, but actually there's more pressure at home. You've got your family around, everyone's there, your friends are there. When you run away to Germany or the US and don't bring no fans out, you're kind of like a lone wolf. And you can always fall back on the excuse of, oh, well, I came away, oh, I got robbed out of my homeland. When you're in the UK, you've got no excuse. When you're in the UK, everyone's there. There's no excuse. But Fury guy likes to go away from home, so he's got a built-in excuse. Oh, they robbed me. Oh, I'm not coming back to the USA again. They robbed me. Oh, I got the USPN behind me now. Get in there. You said, and my other thing with Fury fans, like Dillian Whyte pointed out, Fury's the one who came on Instagram shouting and raving about, give me the WBC diamond belt. I'll fill him in. I'll box his head off. I'll punch his cunt in for him. This is all the stuff he was saying. WBC step up, give them the prestigious diamond belt, and Fury all of a sudden backtracks and don't want to answer questions about it. How can you support a man like that? How can you rate a man like that? He's a pussy. Simple as that. You can say, oh, YB, he'd fill you in. What good is it filling a YouTuber in? Why don't you go and fill Dillian Whyte in? Why don't you go and fill AJ in? Why don't you even go and fill in Wilder in? Fill someone in. Never mind a YouTuber. Go and fill in one of the people who wants it. I'm not being funny. If I was £220, I'd get in there with him as well. Simple. I wouldn't have no problem. He ain't got no power. Simple. He ain't got no power whatsoever. We've seen Dillian Whyte in the sparring session just there. Slipping, sliding and banged him. Straight over, timber style. And there'll be plenty of people in the comment section who will say, oh, that's not Fury, and oh, it's not this, it's not that. Listen, go and look at the Wilder versus Fury fight. You tell me if that isn't the spitting image of how, when people get, like, as an example, look at how AJ got knocked down against Klitschko. Yeah? Look at how AJ gets knocked down by Andy Ruiz, they're similar. People have genetics. People have the way they do things. When AJ gets knocked down, he has a particular way of going down. He gets hit, he stumbles back, and then he kind of sits down. That's how AJ always goes down. Look at how Fury goes down in this sparring video I've just showed you. Look at how Fury goes down in the Wilder fight. Straight down, no breaking his fall, lights clean out, eyes rolled in the back of his head, unconscious, stiffened, toes pointing in 90 degrees towards the ceiling. Bang, timber. Are you trying to tell me that ain't Fury? That there's a spitting image of Fury. That's Fury there. Simple. Dillian Whyte folded him. He already told you. All this is doing is putting the A with the B. Yeah? A, B, C, D. Fury sparring, Fury in the fight. Filled in, laid flat, unconscious. No problem. And that's the reason. It makes sense now. I couldn't ever understand it. I sit there and I thought, why don't Fury want to get in there with Dillian Whyte? Now we know. He knows what'll happen. He'll get caught with it. He'll get his sloppy shoulder roll out, and Dillian Whyte will bang a left hook over the side, and that'll be that. There'll be no rolling anything. The only thing that'll be rolling will be the eyes in the back of his head. That'll be it, as we've seen there. And more importantly, other people who are saying, "Oh, it's not him, it's not him." As I played for you, listen to the very particular, the very rare dialect we hear from Fury. And if you listen carefully, if you go onto the Wilder versus Fury fight, on the second knockdown, if you listen carefully, you can hear it. It goes, that dialect, that rare, unconscious Asgardian dialect he communicates. Yeah? Very particular. Not everyone can do it. Only if you're in that middle passage, only if you're travelling from the state of consciousness to unconsciousness, can you make them type of that? Can you communicate in that language or that dialect? Simple. Don't be mad at me. Your boy Fury, go and talk to him why his defense so sloppy. Go and talk to him why you don't want to get in there with Dillian Whyte again. Don't be complaining at me. Dillian Whyte told you he knocked him down, and Dillian Whyte don't lie. Who else has Dillian Whyte allegedly knocked down in sparring? No one. Who else has Dillian Whyte alleged and got sparring footage of him knocking him down? No one.